All right, guys, I'm sitting here with Vlad, Hogan, and Tavish from Thompson Industrial. These guys make sweet cart auto fillers, or I guess you could auto fill whatever you want, foot pedal fill. This is the original one that I used when I was a cart peddler, and I loved it. It's served out its time doing lots of carts, and never had a problem. It's super high-end quality stuff. So can you guys just give me a rundown of who you are, where you came from, and what you do?
So Thompson Industrial, we came from Portland Engineering. It's a control systems automation group. So we do big manufacturing stuff. We'll do dairies, which can be real complicated in process. My background was power plants and municipal water plants, so really big process stuff. And we got involved in doing extractor automation back in 2014. And that worked out really, really well, but we were not only doing the automation, but we were going out on the road and starting them up and helping people. And they ended up with, there wasn't much distillate back then, of course, as you know. And so they ended up with all this oil and all these carts from China that just in flats and just all over the place. And like, what the fuck am I going to do?
Yeah, how do we get it now into there?
Yeah, so from that, we just looked at, a pretty good opportunity to build something that would work. And since we were already, engineering, and we really understood a lot. Fortunately, we had some mechanical engineers, because a lot of people, that do process automation are electrical. But the mechanical engineers were really, really great at that. So we just spec'd it, figured out what we wanted, prototyped the shit out of it. Back then, all they had were the plug carts.
Yeah.
Right? Remember the little blue plugs?
Oh yeah, with the wick and everything.
Yeah, so we tried all sorts of different things. We're like, okay, well, we got to fill them, but let's automatically cap them. And we're like, can we use food-grade silicone to squirt back in there? So we built something that did that. That didn't work very well, but it was a good try. Yeah. And we eventually came up with a way of coming over, pulling the blue cap off, swinging over, filling, coming back and putting it back on. And that was
such a
cool.
Tedious operation.
But the machine did it.
Yeah.
And it was, and it
Those things are hard to do by finger.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah, except for like some of the first CBD shit that Vlad and I saw down in San Clemente, man, that was as slippery as shit.
Yeah.
Ever. And they got it all over the place. And
slip up the gripper.
Yeah, and then carts changed right away.
Yeah.
I connected up with Vlad. He was working for marijuana packaging, and he was running the whole cartridge operation there. So they were moving a lot of carts all over the place, and that was Vlad's jam. So we hooked up, and we were, getting pretty deep into the Southern California market, at that time.
Yeah.
And so Vlad was able to really learn our machines so much that he could actually sell them, support them, start them up, and take care of what was happening down there. And it took a couple of years, but I finally convinced Vlad that it might be a good idea to hang out with us, even though he's down in Southern California most of the time.
Yeah.
But, it worked out really well to have Vlad come on. Tavish, actually, you came on before Vlad did, right? About a year before.
Yeah, before. Yeah.
Somewhere in there. And Tavish and I known each other, through the Portland, music scene.
Music scene.
Yeah, for a long time. He's just a rock star, an awesome dude. And so, having Tavish involved in the sales side of things, it's not too technical, but you really can't oversell. You don't want to make ridiculous claims. And,
Right.
it's not about claims. It's about making the thing work. So Tavish is really great at that. So business development manager. Vlad runs our SoCal ops. He claimed the territory in Nevada and Arizona.
Yeah.
Shit, so we don't really have to run that too much.
Nice.
So the three of us are kind of the front end of the sales, and then we've got a couple other people, value stream manager and a client services manager. We've been doing remote startups for people throughout COVID, and it was kind of hard to do at first because we would always go on site. You got to make sure that the oil is, at the right temperature, the viscosity is good,
Right.
the cartridge is going to accept it, it's not too hot, it's not going to leak.
Right.
It doesn't take long to teach people these things,
But
but doing it remotely is a whole different story.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't really get to see the oil and how
Right.
it behaves. Is it pooling? Is it, swirling?
Right.
But we kind of got that down now.
Cool.
Did a couple of interesting things. We figured out how to fill pack spods.
Nice.
And that was a little bit of a trick because you're supposed to fill them upside down, but playing with them for a while, we realized we can actually fill them straight down. Came up with a solution and got it together with packs, and They tested our stuff for a while to make sure it worked, and so it's been kind of a good partnership with them for a
Nice.
while. And then we just hit every kind of device there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any kind of pod there is, any kind of cartridge.
Yeah. Syringes.
Syringes, we can do
Yeah.
those. We can backfill them, which is a thing you can do. But there's also some that you can just downfill and has a vented plunger. Those go
I filled
super fast.
slicks with distillate, right? People
Yeah.
love that little one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Slicks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Great
so
for that.
really any kind of device, we made some modifications in the program over time, so it's real easy for somebody to get a new device and a new layout and then just enter a code and the machine sets up the array automatically.
Cool.
Even if we don't even know what the device looks like in the future, the code in there is just a code that's printed on the tray.
Cool. And that's on the semi-automatic one.
That's on the automatic
Automatic
machine. We've got a couple of them.
Still do the foot pedal one.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
the foot pedal one.
Old classic.
We sold
Classic.
I don't know, 900 of them or something like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
they're
there's
great.
so
They're
many out
everywhere.
there.
Yeah.
Ubiquitous.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they, keep getting sold and down the line and shit. People call
Yeah.
us up. We're like,
Yep,
what
I've-
serial number do you have? Like, yours is probably 20 or something.
It's pretty low.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. That secondary market thing, really, a lot of manufacturers had trouble with that because
Yeah.
they made the product too good, and then it was out there and saturated, and then all of a sudden they're just for sale everywhere, and they couldn't sell any more of them.
That was one of our concerns,
Yeah.
It happened, especially with the hemp bubble.
Yeah,
Pop. That's where
exactly.
a lot of it came from because these guys are selling it for pennies on the dollar because
Right.
they're screwed.
Yeah. So we've got, our thing is efficiency. Like, getting fast filling works really great. But what you do is you just move the bottleneck of the whole operation downstream, to packaging, or in our case, really upstream after we figured out some of that, but more upstream to cartridge handling. So we've got methods of taking carts in a box right out of in the foam tray, right out of the box, right onto the machine, fire it up, let it run. We got mouthpiece solutions. So we pretty much took care of a whole lot of this stuff we've been moving upstream and downstream
Yeah.
in the last year or so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but one of the guys that spoke with me was all about packaging. He was talking about how the importance of having things like, if it's multiple pieces, they're already apart.
Yeah.
Having them nest, not that this applies here, but he was nesting things. But then that got me thinking, those little carts would fit like a cartridge in a magazine, and you could, if they came from the manufacturer like that, like primed and ready to go into the machine, like in a cartridge, that'd be interesting. Like, or on a belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should be able to belt feed into your machine. That'd be sick.
Exactly. Yeah. Robotic pick and place. We've got
Yeah,
designs
you guys have
for
a
all
little
sorts of
Gatling gun
stuff, but
barrel,
yeah.
so it's just
Yeah.
belt-fed Gatling gun filler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thrill of that.
Sweet. Cool. Are you guys working on anything new that you can talk about?
Well, we released a couple mouthpiece presses. We just came out with a new one.
How's that going?
It's on the floor right now in
Yeah.
Vegas first time. It's completely air operated, so you don't
Sweet.
even plug it in.
Yeah.
So all the interlocks and everything, and it's a sweet little machine. So we had to follow up our big press with a little one.
Okay.
We do have a couple other things we're working on right now. There's stuff we really can't talk about. We usually don't talk about things until we're ready to release.
Sure.
Just because you don't want to have any expectations out there for.
Have you ever,
Yeah.
have you ever done, like, got significantly into a project that you then decided, no, this is a bad idea?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so when we first started looking at doing mouthpiece pressing, and we had some pretty high forces in there, we bought a great big steel air-assisted hydraulic press. It was like 30 tons or 20 tons, and we built all the fixtures and everything to push them on real well. And then I know, like, coming from a background with hydraulics, if you're going to build all that stuff, that takes a lot. And then there was some other issues that we didn't want to deal with, which was alignment. And we just said, fuck it, it's not our problem, really. But it basically turned out to be our problem. So we revisited that. One of the lessons learned is we just should have probably kept going at that point. We would have gotten where we are now.
You already,
Yeah.
now in hindsight, sure.
Yeah.
'Cause now that
Yeah.
you've succeeded in it, you're like, well, damn.
I don't know if we really ever. If we started building something, we just said this is a dumb idea. We're not going to go into it. I don't really remember.
No.
Go after that.
someone else was into it. We were working on other things, and
Yeah.
we weren't able to keep them aligned. There's major alignments, and then CCEL had changed their materials that they were using with the cartridges, and
Forces doubled.
so the forces changed.
Do you offer a twist solution?
And we got twist
Yeah,
too.
definitely had a twist.
And that's a little bit tricky, but there's not a lot of those around anymore because
The twist out.
the price point on
Labor.
on the press-ons is less expensive. In Canada, there's no twist anymore.
Because of the threading or because of the labor cost?
The
like-
pricing, you mean?
Yeah. It was more expensive
I think
materials or to put them together?
They're usually glass
Yeah,
that will
the
have
threadings
those-
are usually the glass ones.
Yeah, and the glass, there'll be glass, and the other ones are polyplastic. So I think
Yeah.
manufacturing is cheaper for like whoever in China is doing
The
it.
all ceramic ones or the all glass ones are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
one
We see
piece
some pretty
edit.
cool things that are
Right.
coming
Yeah, it's
out
getting crazy.
in the last few months that look pretty good. But the cartridge chaos is everywhere, man.
Yeah.
It's still the same.
Yeah.
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 And it's as bad as it was
It's a big messy
a long
industry.
time ago.
Super messy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
people send us stuff, and we just, that's what they're going to use, and we're going to be able to fill it.
Yeah.
So,
That's the name of the
um,
game.
yeah, and also efficiency stuff is really important. I mean, our background is from, automation systems and big
Sure.
manufacturing, and so having efficiency is critical, and then also having information is critical, like data systems. So we built a data system a couple years ago that'll pull all the information out of the filling machine every time a cartridge is filled and permanently store it in a record, and then just run queries on that every 10 seconds and tell you how many carts per hour you're doing.
Nice.
And it could do, downtime, how long is the machine down,
Mhm.
or things like that. And that's really important, but we don't see that so much now in the cannabis industry yet, I think. Probably coming up, there'll be more of a demand for that.
Yeah, sure. Especially as it consolidates and the scale becomes larger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what you do with that information is it could be used for quality control later on. Like if you have a shitload of carts that leak, and you can go back and you say, well, those carts, based on the lot number we scanned,
Right.
the batch number of the oil was filled on this machine with this serial number on this day by this person. And,
Yeah.
and I can tell you what the temperature was.
When that
So-
facility needs to be a GMP, it's going to be very helpful to have
in
that.
Going to
Canada,
be, yeah.
we are doing that with
See
them.
the
and-
CGMP stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
When we get there,
Yeah.
but not quite yet.
for sure.
Yeah.
Nice. That's. I mean, you got to be working towards it because that's where it's going.
Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah. Good.
And then, not only just GMP ready, but certifications for the machine. So you can build a control system that's going to be a UL 508, that's the spec. But to have the entire machine as an apparatus to be certified for North America market, which is Canada, US, you have to go through a pretty rigorous process to do that. And so we did that. That's an ETL cert. So really any outfit that's using our gear, when the inspector comes in and looks at the label on the back, it's got our code on there. They look it up. They've got all the wiring diagrams. They got everything they need, and they never open the machine. They never have any questions about it. So in, facilities that'll be inspected, that's absolutely critical. So
Yeah.
we got there pretty quickly, as
For
fast
sure.
as we could. Really expensive to do it, though.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
Get the certs.
I'm pretty confident it's going to pay off. So.
Yeah.
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 Right on. Besides those things, is there anything that like stands out that I should be? If someone says which filler should I be buying, and I say Thompson Duke, and they say why? What is the key things I'm gonna say why?
I mean, I think one of the best things we have is our reputation and our customer support. I think we're really hands-on with our clients and listen to them, and we kind of like we use our resources. We have a bunch of bright engineers on our team. We have a bunch of bright problem solvers. So you're not just buying a machine. You're kind of just buying the whole company's mind with it, because we're all over any issues that may arise. So I think that's one of the highlights, right? So it's like you can buy a machine, and a lot of people know that you can buy machines from anywhere, but will you get the support?
Right.
And
Can
will the
you call
support?
someone?
Can you call
Yeah.
someone and actually get an answer that's going to help you?
Right.
Being built in the U.S., we have a lot of the parts in the office. So if there's a part that needs to go out, we could overnight that. So that's a huge thing, when you're looking into the machine, I think. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, if somebody has a problem, what we did is after we first built all the machines, we just had a structure for it. We're thinking, well, what if one of these little things dies on this thing, you can't run it at all. So if your actuator didn't work, or your heater element for some reason didn't work, well, we're going to have to go there, wherever it is. And we had a lot of machines in Colorado, and Vlad wasn't even with us at the time in California. So what we did is we redesigned everything so that if there's a critical component that fails, you could take it off with 2 screws. And unplug it, and then plug it back in.
When I got mine, it came with a nice little parts kit.
Yeah.
All these little things. No, it's crucial.
So we made it so that if there's a problem with somebody, that we can get them back running the following day, or they can stock some parts, but under warranty we'll do it. So somebody may call us and say, my heater's not working, and we'll spend 10 minutes with them and just say, well, is it on? Stuff like that. And we'll just overnight them a heater, and then they send it back to us in the same box with a label. They're running following day. It doesn't take much to put it in there, or as soon as they receive it. And then we'll test it and see what's going on. So we get to see what is our failure rate for every single component on our machines if somebody wants to do that. And that includes like the lamps, the actuators, the heaters, all of that. If the table croaks, and we've done this before, somebody said, the table doesn't work and it's not running, we're like, we got a machine on an airplane, overnight it to you. And then we get the other one back and we check it out and we're like, oh my God, this guy pushed the wrong button or something. Or maybe one failed. But very little failures, so we could track all those failures. And there's not much at all. But our thing, as Vlad was saying, is like immediate reaction to what their needs are, and we'll deal with any commercial stuff later. I mean,
absolutely. I had Killa on here. He runs quality stainless, and something we talked about was that it's significantly more expensive to acquire new customers than to retain an existing customer. So taking care of these people that have already spent money with you, they're the ones that are, and you hope that by empowering them with the right tools, that they then run a more successful business and then need to buy more of these tools. That's what we're after. I need you to make more money, because that's my money comes from you. So you got to be doing good. How do I help you help me?
So those kind of things, and versatility, being capable of filling any kind of pod or any kind of cartridge on the market is really kind of a key thing. Because when pods first came out, we were looking at them like, this is going to be a little bit different because you may have to fill on both sides of it instead of just one. So we were able to figure that out pretty quickly, and then we still see a lot of chaos with just devices coming at us. There's all sorts of different cartridges, different form factors. Some, they're all in one even, with batteries and shit. So we're pretty good at that. We can respond real quickly to that. So that's kind of the differentiators for us. The fact that it's actually a full control system that we can go in and grab all that information out and present it to somebody, in a format that they can see it in a PDF report.
The CMG potential right there.
And remote connections, that's not a problem for us.
Awesome.
So we don't do a lot of software upgrades, because once we got our software built, we don't have to worry about new programs for new devices. But if there's ever an issue, we can send them a secure E1 connection device and get online if they want to do that. So it's pretty much what our differentiators are.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great, guys. Is there anything else we should know? Where can we find you, or where can someone see these in action, or where can they buy one?
So we're always happy to host people in our office as you came down.
Yeah, for sure.
We haven't been doing much of that in the last couple of years.
Especially not in Portland.
Yeah, we had a nice setup in the back with a tent.
Outside.
In a tent in Portland, you can do whatever you want. That's the rule there.
Right.
Yeah.
You can get us online, ThompsonDuke.com. We've got some, Instagram, LinkedIn. If you just did at Thompson Duke, you'll find probably one of us. We got phone numbers.
Right on, guys. Well, it's a pleasure. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks,
Nice
man.
talking to you guys.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks.